I look at data, I think data is, what is data? Data is a individual unit that I consider is a raw material, not necessarily carrying any specific meaning. Information is a group of data that collectively carry a logical meaning. So I see it that way. And data doesn't depend on information, right? Information depends on data. So data becomes very essential. I consider the fifth element after earth, water, wind and fire. Very, very critical, essential, right? So there are what I consider three states of data. And I think if we categorize both structured and unstructured data in three basic ways of looking at states of data. One is data at rest, which is like rows in a table, like a database, right? It's files in a file system. It's sometimes pre-computed analytics. There's also data in motion. Data in motion is email, Slack, IoT sensor data, things moving, things that are creating value. And then data in use. Best example I would say is actually working memory of a CPU. Is data in use, or your security credential, username and password is data in use. Personalization data that you use for user journeys, customer personalization, that's data in use. So looking at that in three states, right? Data can change states very quickly and frequently, or it can remain in a single state forever throughout its life cycle. As designers, we consider data as a strategic pillar of design. It's strategic data design is design, because if design has the design of how things look and the design of how things work, for both of them you need data, right? Data design should have a front row seat in the create process, the creation of ideas, the creation of products. Products should be designed with the state of data in mind. So designers should know about the data in rest, motion, and use when interacting with the products. So through design, we can, I think, also bake in privacy and ethics and all those things right at the inception.
So really important there that it is in constant flow. Some of it may be relatively steady state, but that a lot of it is moving all the time. So one of the key things with all of this is how are you regulating that? And how are you managing it? And how are you understanding when you may have sort of corruption, for lack of a better word, entering into the data so that it is not actually giving you insights on what's happening. And it's giving you something that's a little false. And then you're making decisions based on that. So I think, like, following on to Sunil's point, it's one of the key things is how are you constantly monitoring that data? And of course, the key question, which is very much the academic thing, is what questions are you asking the data to answer? And how are you asking the right questions of the data to think about how you can design things for good outcomes, right? The data itself is kind of, irrelevant. It isn't interested in giving you insights per se. It's asking the right questions of it.
So I believe, and I see this, there are three categories, I would say. One is the decision-making data. So decision-making data comes from pre-computed facts, transactions, and data that's coming from different devices, or your point of sale, or your order data, or something like that, or your any engagement data, analytics, analytical systems like Google Analytics, for example. So all these are pre-computed most of the time, with which you see trends to make what-if analysis, right? This is made out of facts. The trends it shows are as true as the data itself. So if your statistics is right. So this is the regular decision-making data that we use. The second one, which is important, and it's basically dependent on the third type of data. The second one is actually predictive data. The predictive data, and there's a misconception with the predictive, it's probabilistic data. It's a series of probabilities. It's not deterministic data. The decision-making data from the first one, from facts, is basically deterministic data. The second, predictive data, is probabilistic. It's a series of probabilistic. This must be about this much, and this may go there, this may head there, right? It has a vector, it has a magnitude and a vector, and it has a series of probabilities. So it's plotted on a gradient. And this is where all the innovation is actually happening, how to predict better, how to get the probabilities right. And all the cool things that are happening is in that area. But to get there, you need another set of data, which is descriptive data. Descriptive data is data about data. It describes the data. And I believe to get to the prediction level, and if you want to apply cognitive intelligence, especially machine intelligence, you need the data about data. And for getting to the predictive intelligence to get your probabilities right, we had a very interesting customer, which is all of us know Sephora. My team in Madrid created the zebra stripes of Sephora and all the things you see in the Sephora store, like parapharmacy and stored in a store and all the interactions. But the Madrid store, it's a flagship store, had very low footfall after a lot of spending, right? It's designed beautifully and all those things. It's in the basement of a really beautiful place. It's a flagship store of Sephora. And we looked at data, we designed around data. What we saw is that staircases and elevators are not used too much for coming to the basement, and moms come with their kids to the mall. So we designed a bunch of slides for the kids to slide down to the Sephora store, right? And this was data informed. So the kids are now telling moms that I do want to go to the Sephora store to slide through. It's a data informed thing.